there has to be a kind of meeting on a political level between various peoples, cultures. The code word is global justice, but it has to be a meeting in which one is able to converse politically, even though one sustains a comprehensive position that others don't necessarily believe in. Modernity is not a singular thing. Modernity is a multiple thing. And various civilizations have adapted to modernity in completely different ways. So Islamic culture provides us with one relatively recent adaptation to modernity. Now, what is modernity? Modernity is economy, science, possibly education, and in some ways, the bridges that are associated with global justice. My argument in this regard is one that is associated with the political philosopher John Rawls, and particularly his later work, in which he makes a division between the comprehensive and the political. So a religious doctrine like Islam would be comprehensive, but it has the if we follow Tariq Ramadan's, if we follow his argument, because we had a discussion about that, it really didn't get clear in his speech, but what he thinks is this, that you don't have to superimpose, secularism, which is a really bad word in my vocabulary. You don't have to superimpose secularism on Islam. Islam has the political resources within it to deal with modern politics, the modern world in this regard. So the problem today is, of course, there are all these attempts to differentiate a political structure from the comprehensive structure of Islam. And that's a very delicate task. And the secularism, or the secular, that's, Rawls called a secular position just as comprehensive as any religious position. The Islamists tell us precisely how they make the differentiation between the comprehensive and the political within Islam. It doesn't seem to me there was enough listening, or maybe that's what we have to do in the future. And what I would want to see is to have people like the Islamic scholars that we had really talk to each other and really debate with them about the various, what Zaid called the various hermeneutic interpretations of Islam. For him, we don't even have I had several discussions, but we don't even really have an idea of how complex the heritage of Islam, and how rich in that regard, how rich the heritage of Islam is. The thesis of the paper then is that the principle of justice, this is not complete, of course, but the global principle of justice has to be, in some sense, the principle of toleration. We simply cannot superimpose our views of justice on other societies. We may, as Obama indicated, that Article 21 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights can be applied, which says everybody should have some say in the way in which their society is governed. Everybody should be able to do what they want. have what Rawls would call a thin theory of the good. Everybody should be able to flourish and to pursue their ends at the highest level possible. And that's implicit in Article 21 of, it doesn't necessarily say that everybody should have a right to democracy, because everybody should have the right, every society should have, in some sense, the ability to determine itself. But in any case, to go back to the original point, toleration should be understood as the way in which one confronts other societies, particularly under this kind of new vision of not one modernity, but a number of modernities. Islam is in some sense plural itself, because yes, if you take Osama bin Laden's interpretation, you want to reinstitute the caliphate and go back to the kind of original interpretation of Islam. Now, interpretation is an interesting phenomenon. This is Zaid's point about hermeneutics. Hermeneutics means Hermes was the god who delivered the message. So hermeneutics is about theories of interpretation. Well, there's no way that anybody can ever go back to the beginning. I mean, a text is interpreted and reinterpreted. The great ideas of tolerance, of personhood, of justice, all came from the great religions. I mean, it isn't like and then as modernity developed, this notion of autonomy appears in Kant, for example, and so authority is self-referential. And in order to be able to participate, self-referential, or the idea that legislation, we are both the authors and the subjects of the laws that we create. And therefore, the modern political subject gives authority to her or himself. And so that's what is conflicting in a number of religions because of different theories of authority. But of course, the great hope is that there will be an overlapping consensus, not on the great ideas of the great religions, but on the political solutions, the political discourse that emerges in modernity. Now we see that. There's an overlap. There's a way in which people of different orientations can meet, we hope, on these great issues of global justice. The alternative is Samuel Huntington's famous phrase, clash of civilization. So in my view, an overlapping consensus is our last best hope on this earth.